Yeah.
Aw.
So
Who was that? Oh.
Who brought a snack? How rude to tempt me
Man.
while I'm trying to be focused.
anyways,
This guy really does eat babies, though. He really does. I've seen it.
Hello! Let me do the thing.
I don't think we need mics, honestly. This guy's really loud. By the way, I'm David Eddings. You can tell because I'm wearing my hat backwards. This is Raison Varner.
hey,
Raison and I go way back. We worked together for many, many years at Gearbox, and quite frankly, I credit Raison and also Mikey Newman, who is not here today. Not that he's alive. He's just not here today.
Present.
Yes, not here right now.
in our presence.
Yeah, right. The three of us just had a blast, kind of making a lot of shit up. We had Claptrap was an afterthought for the game because what's happening is in playtesting, people were not doing all their missions, and some were getting grayed out. They were not getting any XP, so they were underleveled when you would get to the final boss. And so we needed a character to remind the player that, hey, they had some missions to do, right? And so it was afterthought. And so we got to, Raison and I and Mikey, just playing around, really, with lines of intent. Like, we know we need to get the player to go from here to there or something like that, and then the rest of it was up to us. And I couldn't have asked for a better, I mean, it was an accident. It was the three of us were put together, and I think we created some magic. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
That was an easy one, by the way. I got to say yes. So.
Right? Well, it'd be awkward if I said no.
Right.
Sorry. A little background for me. I was the audio lead in BL1 and BL2, so doing a lot of sound design, project management, directing music, writing music, and the Psycho. And I was initially the writer for Claptrap at the beginning of Borderlands. At the time, Mikey Newman was still working on another project. So as we were wrapping up Borderlands, I then handed him off. But the actual process for writing the Claptrap lines throughout, almost the whole game, except for the very end, was I actually would give the Excel grid over to the mission designer and say, hey, just plug in what you need the player to know. And then he would send it back to me, and then I would revoice the lines in Claptrap. And then Eddings and I would get together, and we'd kind of riff on the character live as we were doing the lines as well. And a lot of the characters came together.
There was a lot of pandemonium, quite frankly.
Yes.
It was a blast. It was just a blast to do because we had full, we had complete reign to do whatever it is that we wanted to do. There was no limitations on that, and it was a blast. So.
Yeah.
Aww. So who was that?
Who brought a snack? How rude to tempt me
Man.
while I'm trying to be focused.
Anyways,
This guy really does eat babies, though. He really does. I've seen it.
I wish we could just do that one. That one's a lot harder. It's not fair for you.
Me? I can do Claptrap.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
But I know my voice doesn't sound like Claptrap right now, but if I do it like this, it certainly does, So it's hello, minion. You always. What's a good line to do? What do you like? I don't know. You want to hear?
Those parts, even Steve could say.
That's okay. It's been a long time for me too. So. Hello, that guy. That's Mikey. That's Mikey as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like hello, traveler. You'll always be my number one minion. You can certainly hear that without the processing, right? Okay. All right. I actually have something like I found some of the scripts that we were like my notes and stuff like on. So it's actually at the table.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we should have got that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So So anyways, I feel like I'm also changing the stories.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Whatever.
So the way I ended up becoming the writer for the Psycho as well was actually, like they were saying, we had complete freedom. I've never actually had as much freedom as in that project, where it was really just whoever was working on whatever, it was just go do whatever you feel you need to do.
Well, we were inventing at the time.
Yes.
And that's making it all up, right? And all,
And this Psycho wasn't really a planned character. It was just one day they came to me and they say, Raison, we need some temp dialogue for this combat NPC type we have in the game. And so I just figured, hey, if I'm gonna write some temp dialogue, then like at least let me try to come up with a character and like something, and like so that at least in my head I'm like, I just want the temp to kind of give people an idea of what it could be. So I didn't put it in the game.
Plus, there's a lot of rage that's been built up over the years inside his heart.
Just classic ADHD things.
Yeah, crazy.
And then everyone was basically just like, so we're shipping this, right? And I said, okay, yeah. And
audio's always the last one to know.
12 years later.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we had a lot of fun, and it was a blast. You all are here because you wanted to get to know some of those stories. So I don't know, maybe we should just open it up to questions and kind of get like maybe what y'all want to know.
Yeah.
And I know you have lots of questions, but I'm gonna let this gentleman back here go first, and then you next. You're second, right? So what's your question, sir? Yes.
This is really for Jason.
Raison, by the way, Raison.
It's like Jason, but not Jason.
But with an R. Raison. Raison.
I was replaying the games recently, and every now and again there'll be a psycho who isn't just a quick one-off line or a quick thing. Were you given free reign, like shoot this guy in the face? Were you given free reign with that to do with as you please, or were they said he should lead you towards getting shot in the face or something like that?
Do you mean the Face McShooty?
Yeah.
Okay, so Face McShooty was actually an actor who played just that. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. So that's actually a particular character.
Was it Zach Porter?
No, it was actually one of our actors. No. I forget the name right now. But he that one. However, in BL2, one of the Easter egg lines, which was a passage from Hamlet, that was actually, the writers put that in the grid before I showed up in the studio. And I came in to do the lines, and I saw this huge block of text as we just work in Excel. So we're just scrolling through an Excel file, as we record. And there's this huge
It's an
block.
exciting story. Tell us more about Excel.
Oh, yeah. So there's grids, squares.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. How many tabs do you have open on Excel at any given time? I'm just curious.
It depends on how excited I am.
Wow, this is so fascinating. So fascinating.
So anyways, just huge block. I was like, I'm not an actor, right? And they were like, no, that's kind of the point. And I was like, okay, sweet. And so that's literally the longest cycle line I think that exists in the series. Don't ask me to quote it.
Your question, sir.
Okay.
With the long sword.
Anyway,
Isn't that considered a long sword? I mean,
sort of,
for a white guy, I guess that's pretty long.
Okay, my question is, have you ever heard of Team 4-Star? If so,
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm friends with those guys.
Time when
Yes.
Andy Bator and Takahara Woman, both Vegeta and Nappa playing Borderlands,
Yes.
as in two Saints play.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I love it. Those guys are awesome. I haven't seen them in a while. We used to hang out at some conventions a while back, but we had a lot of fun. I actually did a little thing for them, under a pseudonym, under Lee Rastus, which was my great-grandfather's name. So that was actually me doing the Team 4-Star thing, if that was your question. Yes, sir, you have a question.
I generally ask this for people who work behind the scenes and whatnot. Have you been noticed, of course, on the street necessarily that, did you come to a moment of, oh, I'm kind of a celebrity now and I need to adjust my frame of thinking?
That is an amazing question, and if I ever adjust my thinking to think that I'm a celebrity, then please slap me in the face, okay? Because that'd be the worst thing ever. I grew up in the entertainment industry. My grandparents were country western musicians and songwriters, played with George Jones, Willie Nelson, Marty Robbins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and so on. My dad was a comic book artist for a little while in the late 70s and early 80s, and even hosted some conventions in Houston. I got to meet a lot of famous celebrities as a kid in the green room. I got to meet the original cast of Star Trek, and then 25 years later, I get to meet some of the cast of Star Trek again in the green room. But this time I'm a guest, right? And it comes full circle. So, but it's really been neat growing up in this. I never thought I would be doing any of this stuff, but I got pulled into this through the guys over at Ed and Software and 3D Realms. Virtual Entertainment, those guys pulled me in a long time ago just because they were my friends, and that's how I got the job in the industry. But it's a creative field, and when we were younger and inventing these first-person shooters and stuff, there's a lot more freedom just to do whatever. And so my venture into voice acting was just lending my voice to my friends' games and my games. I worked at Gathering Developers. The last game that we did there was Max Payne, if any of y'all knew that one. We did Rune, some other games, Keep It Under Fire, thank you. And so, it was always fun doing that. And then same thing, happened at Gearbox, and it's just been a natural. I tend to talk. I have no shortage of words to spew out of my mouth, and so I think Claptrap was, yeah. There you go. But the whole celebrity thing. So one of the things that I really think is funny is that when voice actors think that they should be recognized on the street, which is really strange. I know a couple like that really get angry. It's like, you don't know who I am? And like, nobody should know who you are. You're a voice actor, right? I'm amazed that anybody would ever even want to, recognize or know who I am. But it happens because we're at a show. I'm a guest, and I might be recognized because you're coming here to see us, right? But on the street, I have friends of mine that are actually really famous, and it sucks. They're at a baseball game and they're picking their nose, and somebody takes a picture. They see it on Twitter, and then they're like, "Oh my God!" And they look over, and now then that shows up on Twitter. Them looking back, to the. And who wants that, right? I like to scratch my balls, and whatever, smoke weed in public and stuff like this. So, if I don't want that spotlight on me, right? Now it's probably going to be scratching balls and smoking weed. Hey, if you want to do that, come with me. I'll tell you back, So, but we all gonna scratch our own balls, though. And I'm not scratching yours, you're not scratching mine. So, or never mind. But if Raison shows up, we're totally doing that.
Everything's on the table then.
So I don't think that voice actors should be should ever think they should be recognized. I call it being famish and not famous, right? Famish. It's kind of nice. You get a little bit,
A little bit of mental retinkering. Okay, how am I approaching this now versus 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
I'm just me. Honestly, I'm approaching it the same way that I always have, which is just loud, boisterous, and kind of a little bit of a prick sometimes, but a lovable prick. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not like Damian Clark. I mean, I'm a lovable prick, right? I'm kidding. Damian. He's not here to defend himself, but that's why I'm talking about him. So he's not here.
Well, I was so clueless. It took me 6 years to realize that the Psycho was as loved as he was, anyways. Because I'm just a dev. That's pretty much just how I think about myself. And so we were at a bar once, and somebody like, "Wait, you did the Psycho?" And he's like, "Do the voice." And I was like, "Okay." And start doing it. And there, you could tell the difference. There were heads that were like, "What's going on?" And then there were 5 heads that were like, and I was like, "Very done." I think I'm getting a clue. And this is the first convention I've actually been to. Thank you. Thank you. It was very difficult. I flew the plane all the way here.
Yeah, for newbies, what we do is we do a spanking line. So whenever we have wood paddles, you have to go through. We hit you on the butt.
Yeah. Little did I know.
Those are great questions, by the way. Does anybody else have I see that you have one and you have one, so we're going to go for you first, and then you sort of second. By the way, I like your getup. That's nice.
I have quite a few questions. I'll limit it to maybe one or two.
Okay.
One of them being, so since you do voice the Psycho, did you do the ones where they're getting electrocuted? Do they electrocute you in the booth?
Yes.
The burning room? They put you in fire?
Yes, the direction text that I would write specifically for that is pain, chilling pain, hyperventilating pain, because that's the only way you could tell the difference between because what's versus and so that's
those sound like masturbation noises, actually. Doesn't it to you too? I mean,
if my heart rate is 250, yeah, it's just my clock rate. But yeah, no, that literally it makes this buzzing sound, almost like cute hummingbird wings. So that was literally how we would direct all the VO, because in BL1 also made sure that they could add all their ad libs and everything too, so they could really kind of make the parts their own. And actually, one of my favorite ad libs, I can't remember his name right. I'm horrible with names. But he's sitting there literally doing the burning, hyperventilating pain. Go, the burning lets you know it's working. And I was like, we're going to add that to the script. That was amazing. And that's kind of, that was kind of the beauty of a lot of the writing. A lot of the lines actually were just the actors improv.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I replayed Borderlands 1 in honor of the unfortunate Borderlands movie.
That could be like the sequel name.
I don't think there's going to be a sequel. Pretty sure there's not going to be a sequel to that.
Wait, why are we? Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
I'm so conflicted.
Oh,
The
no.
unfortunate movie. There's not going to be a second one.
No, I'm pretty sure there won't be. So here's a funny piece of trivia. I'm the one who put the movie deal together. I picked Avi and Ari Rod and Lionsgate, and I actually suggested that Jack Black play Claptrap because I'm not a movie star, and I thought Jack would do a little bit of a better job, but I haven't seen it, to be fair. I left Gearbox in 2017, and I haven't anything that happened with the movie was basically I wasn't part of that after 2017. So, but they got Jack Black. I knew that it wasn't going to be very good. I heard from some of the producers and one of the writers that that the test audience didn't. It's unfortunate that it didn't do better, but. I think that there was probably just maybe one person meddling, just creating some havoc there. But anyway, who knows? Who knows what can happen in the future? Maybe Ari or Avi would want to do like a different voice track for Claptrap or something like that. It's a bonus or something like that. I'm open, Hollywood. I'm open.
We'll make a second movie, Borderlands.
That describes a lot. Right? It sure does.
It works.
Yes, it sure does.
If they make another movie, they put in Handsome Jack.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
I think the next step for any of this is probably going to be like some sort of animated thing. It's probably the next step for Borderlands if it's going to be in any sort of entertainment like that. You sort of had a question as well?
Yeah, I was going to ask, during the creation process of the Psychos and Claptrap, was there any, the voice range is, were you shocked at what you were able to, make with that? Or, was it hard to get rid of it after you made that?
Well, the nice thing is about not having any specific talent or training is that you just land where you land, and you think that that was a good place to land.
When you have no talent or training, you do think that. You think that that's probably you did great, right?
Yeah. No, hilariously though, there are actually techniques to do that kind of volume and voice and stuff like that.
It's called ruining your voice.
Yeah, so I actually usually could only record 75 to 100 lines. We'd have to wait 2 days because by the end, I couldn't even, and you can hear the difference. And so at some point, if we'd be going back over the lines, we'd have to step back at 10 or 15, and we'd be like, oh, no, the hoarseness came in here. And then, and that was sort of my, by BL3, I was like, holy shit, I can do 125 to 150 now. So I'm professional. Yeah.
Except you weren't getting paid for it, so you're not technically professional.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that voice has one volume, and people in the office.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the volume. I'm just curious.
Yeah, because if I tried to do it, it'd be like.
I want to hear it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Get the audience. Juilliard, people. That's Juilliard training right there. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I like it.
Right on.
No, actually, my every voice actor for specific characters has some kind of warm up to get into the voice, and mine was me. Oh, okay, I'm there. And so I had to do that this morning, or else I'd be doing it live here.
I've never done warm ups whatsoever. I'm curious about those. Maybe I need to try some new techniques. Anybody else have any questions? You, sir. I see you're raising your hand.
What do you guys think was the most stressful part in your career? Maybe a deadline, or maybe a position change, or something in a project. What do you think caused the most stress?
I worked with a guy that is trained for years to learn how to deceive people. That's probably a very stressful situation. And it's unfortunate too because there was a lot of magic that was going on. And then there's always somebody that feels like they need to cut other people out, including their partners, breaking promises and stuff like that. It's a real touchy subject, and I think you guys know who I'm talking about. But that's unfortunate because there was a time when it was just a magical place. We were creating some amazing things, and we had some of the best creators and game designers and developers anywhere. I would put as And then somehow it all fell apart because sometimes people just like to destroy things around them. That's unfortunate. But the good news is that there's a lot of very talented people that have put a lot of hard work into making entertainment and games that they want to share with you guys. And you all have You've loved what has been done so far, and we shouldn't let one person ruin any of that. I think there's a lot of people that put their heart and soul, and including the fans. I mean, you're part of this, right? It wouldn't happen without y'all. So, but anyway, yeah.
For me, it's kind of a duality. BL1 was probably one of the most stressful projects I ever shipped, and it's also one of my favorite projects I ever shipped. Yeah. So, and it's for that reason. Like Gearbox was 90 people at that time.
We knew we had something too. I mean, we were playing the game after work, like at the office and at our homes, because it was fun. And I've been involved with maybe like 50 titles over my career in video games, and not every one of them is a hit, and like when there's those games.
Battleborn. Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, there was, at Gathering of Developers at God Games, we were eventually that became 2K Games, and each one of those games was something that we chose and we cultivated, and all of those launches were very meaningful. When I was on the publishing side, and at Gearbox we had some amazing launches as well, and had a lot of fun. But it's unfortunate that some of the games, like Aliens, Colonial Marines, for instance, that looked amazing. When we were playing it at the office, it was incredible. It looked like it was from the movie, the film grain. There was one guy, specifically an artist, that all he did the whole time, years on that project, was to make sure that every frame of that game looked like a frame from the movie itself, with the film grain, the whole thing. It felt like you were in Aliens, and we were surprised to find out when it launched that it was not the same game that we were playing at the office and playing in our homes. It was a shock to everybody, and it was really unfortunate. And we did not know. We were as surprised as everybody else when that happened.
Yeah. Although I joke about Alien Colonial Marines, it's not every day in your career you actually get to redesign an interactive version of the pulse rifle. Yeah. And
we had one built too. We had an actual pulse rifle built. It was really cool.
And I think it was Sony who owned. They sent us all the original recordings that they used for the source. So I actually had access to a lot of the original material that the original sound designers used. And one of the challenges there is they actually use like old analog equipment, and that is part of the sound. But we didn't have that, so we'd have to try to find creative ways to emulate that and have it sound. So
you sound like old people, by the way.
Oh, I am 44.
Yeah, that is old. I got. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Continue. But yeah, and then but Borderlands 1, I was like sole audio support in that title for probably 2/3 of the project. But I was super hungry. I was in like late 20s or something like that. Yeah, late 20s, and I had the energy to do it. And so I think it's probably the most stressful Borderlands game I released, but also, it was just so satisfying.
Well, getting back to Aliens, Colonial Marines, I got to spend 5.5 hours with Ridley Scott one day at his office, and that was like really awesome. So it's just an aside. I just wanted to throw that anecdote out there. It was incredible, 5.5 hours, and I'll tell you a little bit of a quick story. Ridley and I were sitting right next to each other like this, and we had swivel chairs. And after he showed us his hand-drawn storyboards for the movie Alien, like the first 45 minutes, we sat back down. I turned to him, and I was like, I got to ask this question. And I'm talking to Ridley, and our knees are almost like touching, and we're the swivel chairs, whatever. And I said, I told him I'd watched Alien, the movie, like over and over and over again. My dad had a bootleg copy of it on videotape. And I said, I got to know. I've always wanted to know, tell me the story of the space jockey. And he told me, right? It was this allegory about, a nuclear power and how, what you create to help the world can destroy you and all this kind of stuff. And in that meeting, so he tells me, and we also talked about like Blade Runner and the ending and all this kind of stuff, and absolutely was a replicant, and all this kind of cool stuff. But so he tells me, and he goes, it's been 20 years since I've spoken to Fox. Should probably give them a call. And I was like, yeah, you should call Jim Giannopoulos. He's a friend of ours. We have another connection. He was the head of Fox at the time, and so that was it, right? So a year later, Brian Martell comes running in my office. Brian was one of the founders of Gearbox and responsible for the art style change in Borderlands. And he comes running in my office, and he said, come here. And he go back to his office, because there's just a couple doors down. And there's Ridley Scott at Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con going, there's one question that nobody's ever asked. And that's the story of the space jockey, right? And so Of course, that's the story you have to tell if you're really Scott. But anyway, I asked, and he told me, and Prometheus happened. So I hope y'all like Prometheus. I'm not saying I'm responsible for it. I didn't, but I kind of threw that idea out there, like, hey, maybe, just maybe, Anyway, kind of anecdote. All right. Any other? Oh, you, sir, with the fine haircut. I love that. I used to have that haircut. My mom did it for me. I'm serious, too. I don't, I honestly, I'd give anything for it now. Please, I would.
So the character of Tina seems to be really divisive. How did you guys feel about her, and did your opinions change across the games?
I thought Tiny Tina was absolutely fantastic, and Ashley Birch, I think, is an amazing voice actress, right? An amazing actress. She does Mythic Quest now. I haven't seen the show. That's only because I will see it now because I don't want to have that on the camera. And now, so I've seen all the episodes now. By this time, since anybody watching this, I've seen them all. Anyway, but Ashley is fantastic. She and her brother obviously had a great relationship. They grew up together, and they had a wonderful writing cadence. And to give Birch his due, Anthony. When in fact we had the meeting, you remember when he was writing Claptrap and he didn't really understand the character, and so Raison and I called a meeting and we had a big thing, and to his credit, he absorbed who Claptrap really was, and he was able to write in the cadence that I would speak, for Claptrap, and it was just a wonderful match. I was able to read his words right off the page, didn't need to ad-lib anything. It was he had it down, and it was incredible. It was incredible just to see that. I mean, we were inventing in the first game, so there wasn't anything really being able to be written down. But the second one, Anthony just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park. It was like he knew how I was thinking, the character. So.
Yeah, Tiny Tina is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she's great.
I partnered up with Anthony a lot to work on our writing process itself. So, for example, in BL2, like the Nomads, we have a background lore that isn't explicitly in the lore, so we could do like implicit storytelling, where they're like hoarders and they couldn't let anything go. If you actually went in one of the Nomads' huts, in your imagination, you'd see it was full of junk, and that was why they would hold on to the midgets, because they were possessive of the midgets, and
if you catch a midget, you should hold on to him, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I've always done.
I wouldn't let him go. And
people.
and so he was a really good partner throughout all of that, and that was a process that we instantiated in BL2, and they actually still used BL3, and I think they still use to this day. And so that was great. That was one of my favorites.
So unlike you, we love Tiny Tina, and so yeah. So I'm kidding. I was just pointing you out. That's all. Right on. This is going great so far. What do y'all think? Yeah, you like it? You like it? How much time do we have? I'm just curious. 30 minutes? We have to. Wow. Okay. Well, that's going to go by really, really fast for us up here. It might be dragging out for you guys, but I don't know. Oh, you have another question? You barely. By the way, this is like barely. Oh. I got it.
I'm sorry.
And I did see that you had some one too, so we'll get to you in a second. So go ahead.
I did have a question about kind of like the development of Borderlands 1, specifically the Athena DLC. Why is there no fast travel? Why is it just endless driving? Or is that to extend the hours of the DLC? Like, what was the point of just driving?
Those are great questions. Okay, so and I hope you get answers to that one day. You, sir, you have a question?
Oh, I'm just wondering, where do each of your favorite lines that you remember voicing?
I know mine, and it's just so personally funny to me, and it's bring me a bucket, and I'll show you a bucket.
I like that.
That's I honestly, I don't know why it's so fucking funny to me. That's how my wife always knew I was writing psycho lines at home, is like she'd hear like coming out of my room, she'd be like, oh, he's writing again. So that one, I don't know, that one was personally funny to me.
I like the total silent whole diatribe that Claptrap does. I forget, he's like stuck somewhere, and he's like, if you don't get me out now, I'm going to give you silent treatment. Total silence. Yep. Giving you the silent treatment. Not talking to you. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I think what you do is you leave Claptrap somewhere, and that happens. And It might be on the like the loading page or something like that. I forget. But anyway, that was a fun one. The Handsome Jack. How did you know that my only downfall was stairs, along with, and then the whole list of all the other things. That was fun to do. There was were you at the PAX when they gave me all that? Okay, no. There's a video, and I'll post it up one day, where Anthony and Mikey and Randy had written a bunch of tongue twisters for me, and they had me come do it, and they had me it was all these lines. It was like an iambic pentameter, and there was Chaucer in there, I think, and then there was say toy boat 10 times in a row. Can anybody say toy boat 10 times in a row?
Truly, Chaucer is
watch
the
this.
fuckiest
Watch this. Ready?
language
Ready?
to be given.
Toy boat, 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 toy boat. 10 times in a row, right? Thank you. What they didn't know is that I knew how to do that already, so they made me do it fast or whatever. I'm gonna post that because it's really hilarious and funny. It's like one of the last good times that we had as a group of people, so fun times. But anyway, did that answer? That person disappeared. Wow, they just left. They got their answer to the question. They're gone. That's amazing. I've never seen that before. Wow. Oh, you're still there. I saw you. You popped up. Okay. All right. Yes. You, sir, with the mohawk.
What was the development process like for turning the Psycho into a playable character?
Oh, yeah, so one of the funniest conversations I had about that was at first they were like, "Hey, Raison, great, do you want to voice this? What if you voice the playable character?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, please." And I was like, "Well, wait, though. I'm still doing the NPC psychos, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, then we were like, oh, that might be confusing. And so even myself, I was like, yeah, that wouldn't actually be right for the game, so let's find a voice actor. And the voice actor we found, and again, the name eludes me, but god damn did he just fucking crush that role. And I was like, I was very, very glad we did not put me as the voice of that. As much as I personally would have just had so much fun with it, he just killed that.
It's amazing. Some actors really did they were the role. I was doing some temp voices for Handsome Jack, and I really liked Handsome Jack, and I was like, man, it would be kind of fun to do that a little bit. And there were a few people that were doing temp voices for various things, but Damian Clark was absolutely the best person to ever be able to do Handsome Jack, because he is a little bit of that kind of guy, right? I'm looking forward to it. We should have him sometime and do some pound around. We have a good repertoire. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But I don't know. I'm just rambling.
I was really thrilled in the 4th DLC with Creek's Mind Palace and everything. It was just really cool to see just this concept that I came up with for the Psycho and BL1 just continue to kind of get expanded. And I remember I had a story so I used to always run what ifs by the writers that were totally just ridiculous. It's kind of like the game of you know what we should do? And then you say this thing you explicitly should not do. That was definitely a game around the office. But
it turns out there are a lot of things that we did that we probably should not have done.
Yes, yeah.
That's how that slips through.
That's how it happened. So I presented with the idea. I said, hey, what if, because one of the things we'd write all the characters as if they're one person and just ignore the fact that there's 2,500 of them or whatever in the game. So I said, what if we did a play on that, and what if the Psycho was actually this scientist who was stuck in this fucking machine, and all the Psychos are him just insanely, taking over their minds, and then you find this in the game that all the Psychos are psychotic because it's actually this one broken mind in this chair. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. But
that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Well, if you heard the whole slew of random ideas I threw at them.
That would have been the dumbest? It would have been dumber ones?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Well, they're all equally ridiculous. But seeing them do the Mind Palace with Krieg and everything, it was just so cool. And then they bringing that emotionality in, that was always something with Krieg that I can't say, that's what I appreciated in what they were approaching Krieg, is having the sane side to him as well. And I really just made him a much more dynamic character. And allowed them to really have a lot of emotional content in that DLC, which was really cool.
All right. No more questions, huh? Okay. I don't see anybody's hands up. I'm kidding. I know. I can see your hand. I'm sorry. I'm just joking. Go ahead. You have a question? Yes.
Okay.
No. Lady in the back, though. Sorry. Stand up. You. Yes. You're the one laughing. You had your hand up.
Of the voice acting cast that you guys have all worked with on Borderlands, who's y'all's favorite to hang out with?
Oh. Well, who is the most? I mean, honestly, I've hung out with a lot of the voice actors. Certainly, of the ones that are in the cast. Okay, Damien and I get along great. You know, I get along. I mean, we're great friends. You know, in IRL, right? You know, shows you I'm young. And so who are some of the other voice actors that were a lot of fun to work with? But like a lot of them, I didn't. You know, I met some recently at another convention that I had never met before because you know we were doing our thing. I was working mostly, and then I'd go to the studio and whatnot. But who are some of the
Marcus Mulligan. That's the one for me. BO1 when we met him. I don't know, and he and I, we just seem to have this connection, and I actually never got a chance for us to just go and solo and hang out, but events, whatever, I don't know, just riffing, and he was the one I really, really enjoyed working with him, because also hilariously, the story of how Brick was actually made as a character, well, not his concept art and everything, but I actually wrote all of Brick's character in BL1 in the studio in that session because of a really funny mistake that was made. And so, and he evolved him in the process. I won't go through the whole story now, but like...
We only have like 25 more minutes. So.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, full story. Anyways, so I'm sitting there, we're waiting for the script to come. Marcus is about to arrive. And literally, Randy's wife is driving the script down from where they printed it out at the office. And Marcus arrives, and I hear this booming voice in the hallway, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so stoked for this game! I've been waiting for this game in Borderlands." And then I got cast. I was like, "This is fucking amazing!" And I was like, "Who? Like, who's this voice?" And he come through the doorway, and I shit you not, he had to turn sideways to like make it through, and then turn back around. And he's like, I swear to God, he felt like he was 7 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and just all muscle. And I was like, holy shit, Marcus, have you seen the concept art for your character yet? And he's like, no. And I was like, look, you're perfect. And he was like, holy shit. Awesome. So the script finally arrives, and I'm like, okay, Marcus, go ahead, get in the booth. Let me get the script open. And there was a mistake. The person who wrote the lines thought he was a simpleton mini-boss. And every single line for him as a playable character was the word brick. And I was like, oh, no. Marcus, can you come out of the studio? And then I spent like 30, 45 minutes just furiously just writing lines and then like being like, okay, do this and this and this.
You should have got a writing credit, quite frankly.
See, I told you I was an idiot.
Sound guys, sound guys, you know, they're all of them pretty much, you know, half-wits.
Yeah. And so then I kind of had an idea together. I had Marcus get back in the studio, and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. And then had him actually riff with me and kind of improvise. And so it was like that working between each other. That's kind of how Brick got born. And
I love hearing this because this is what Raison does. Like, you know, we collaborated too. I mean, Claptrap wouldn't be Claptrap if it hadn't been for Raison and Mikey and you know all of us doing this thing. And so this is, I think it's probably, I don't know how many audio people are like that, but you certainly
they tell me I'm weird, so
which is great. I mean, when you're putting a cast of characters together, you want to get some weird people. You know, I mean, weird people have amazing ideas. They think differently, right? You know, and they're creative. So.
My favorite line from that session was, and it's such a kind of innocuous, but in BO1 when you could actually initiate a duel with your friend and actually fight against one another, one of his victory lines was, "Need some time to find your teeth." And I was like, that's like my favorite line, because when he delivered it, I was like, oh my God, like that was amazing. It's just an innocuous line, I don't know. It always seems to be these little weird ones. It's like the broccoli is what I get excited about on a dinner plate. But yeah, so I can't remember what the original question was now, but Marcus Mulligan, that was kind of a special session.
I have a question for you. So I wasn't like working with Chris Rager. Explosions! That guy, right?
Oh, yeah. No, so in BL2 I was not directing voice.
Oh, okay.
On that. Yeah. We had to specialize into things, thankfully.
Yeah, we were growing at that time. Yeah. We were iterating.
Yeah, because BL1 I was writing music, directing music,
Doing it all.
80% of the sound design, directing VO, system design. That's why it was so stressful.
Yeah.
But I really love being able to touch a lot of things.
Right on. Let's see some more questions. You in the mask and the white hair.
So obviously you guys said that you actually play the game. Is there a favorite class that you have from each of the games, or a favorite class of one specific game that you like absolutely adore?
So I played Axton, and Axton's the same version of the first game too. So
yeah.
What was that? Axton was in the first game, right?
Roland.
So I played Roland. I played Axton. I played Salvador, the Gunzerker. I like the Gunzerker. I actually have the belt buckle for that for him. I brought it with me too. I wore it yesterday, but it's a fucking great belt buckle. So those are my classes. I'm a terrible sniper. My kids, I played with my kids, and we love playing the game. We actually, Notch and I and my kids would play, and my kids would kick our asses. Like Marcus was like, man, they would just clear everything out, and we were like trying to catch up and get some XP or something. But yeah, those are anyway. What would you say?
Surprisingly, whatever character screamed the most, I typically played. The Gunzerker. I think I'll play that guy. I don't know why.
He's a fun character to play. I like to get in the middle and just go mayhem, like full mayhem. So what is everybody's favorite? I'm curious to know. Like, show of hands. Let's look at let's just do classes, whatever. So like the Roland Axton class. Who would play that? All right. So very few. So and then what?
Siren.
Siren. Yeah. So. Sorry, that's it. Now,
yeah, actually, I do have to admit, BL3, when I'm testing the game, I always made sure that I came in as the Siren. And again, it's awful. I'm forgetting her name, but the voice actress who did just amazing. I just absolutely love the quality of her voice, her delivery. And if you follow her on Twitter, she's just an amazing human being. And
is it Clinkin?
No, it's not Clinkenbeard, Colleen. I'm awful. I do this to my friends, by the way, also. They'll be like, so you've known me for 25 years? Yes, yeah. Oh, Matt, yeah, that's right. But yeah, so BL3, I definitely switched over to Siren.
It's David.
With
anyway, 3Ds. All right, another question, anyone? Yes, you have a question, and I'll get to you, sir. And I know there's some folks in the back, too. And how are we doing on time, by the way?
Got 13 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so we still have time for the striptease.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you should see this guy's nips. Anyway.
Leave the mask on.
All right. Yes.
So yes, my favorite series. The Psycho resonates, I think, so well with them because earnest absurdity, played completely straight, is a very, despite it being easy to do, it's very hard to pull off properly. Which is why the series in of itself, I'll show you a bucket, in of itself is terrific because it's so funny. So freaking funny, the intensity.
Not even a question, by the way. He's
No.
Go on.
Raison, Jason.
I respond to all.
For Creed.
Yes.
Anyways, the voice, his name.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes, that you got to see people necessarily in the booth when you were younger, growing up or so. Who were your inspirations in either characters or actors behind the scenes, television, media, or so when you were kids? Because there are some people in this audience who are your idols now.
As a kid, Kevin Costner was my favorite actor, and that's exactly the face I expect to see.
Oh my God!
I don't know. I wouldn't say he was like the most amazing actor, but I don't know. For some reason, he did.
I was stealing stuff from like all my favorite, like Curly Howard from the Three Stooges. Stealing from the cartoons that I watched as a kid. That whole check me out, I'm dancing. That was like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. It was also like a Bowery Boys type of, it was like a meme back in the day, check me out, I'm dancing. It was something that was said by a number of different people, and I picked that up. I would steal anything that I could, and just, then you make it your own, because I don't remember it very well, so, that has become something original, but, it's, stealing, I think, is a lot from our childhood, cartoons and TV shows, and I realize now that there's a little bit of, it's funny. If you ever notice that like Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob is Danny DeVito in Taxi, I don't know if you've ever seen that. It is true. Yeah. It's an old show, but you should watch it because it's got it's got the professor from Back to the Future in it. So it's a time machine. Anyway, all right. So
So the Psycho actually does have a writing process behind it. So a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, it's like word salad." I'm like, "No, no, no, no." So the Psycho has these character traits, which is mommy issues, tendencies to cannibalism, but not always.
So it's really it's mostly you.
Just like autobiographical. And he's bipolar, but his mania and his depressive cycle in seconds. And so that would inform kind of the initial content. But then the kind of trick is that you wrote an appropriate Psycho line when it summons an animated GIF in your head. So the perfect lines for the Psycho has something textural, something that implies movement, and then it's a free association game where we try to go one or two steps, associations away from the root idea of the line. And so, for example, like just some dumb line like in BL3, there's an active ability of the Siren to kind of put up a shield. And so what I'll do to psychoize something is I'll take an actual real kind of truism of life or something like that, something that's actually wise. So in this case, it would be, putting a barrier between you and other people create a life that's not worth living. And then I take that and I go, that barrier between you and me is not going to keep me out forever, and nor should it! And
I love that. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah. You take a bow on that one. Wow. That's really fucking deep, by the way, man.
No, that's why everyone's like, it's so funny
because
when new writers come on, they're like, well, it's just like word salad.
This guy's got some serious emotional issues. Right? Did your dad really love you as a child? I mean, love.
My dad's dead.
And see.
That feeds into what I got the last point. So that's really interesting because then that shows me that the process is involved in necessarily the gut punch moments of the game, because holy cow, Angel and hearing Tiny Tina's parents still resonate with me on the little hollow bits.
Yeah. God. Yeah, just and like music direction, same sort of thing. If I'm working with Jesper, so in BL3, I can't remember the public-facing name of the level, but basically the one where you're going through the starship. Like talking to Jesper, I'm like, hey, so the story we're going to tell in the music is about this like fantasy land with like these dinosaur type creatures, but it's a mystical temple where you're going to discover some kind of magical thing. Now that's not the story in the game, but that's the story we're going to tell in the music to help kind of complexify the emotions, and that the ambient music should always be pretty. So that's why the menu music in all of our Borderlands games is always like really pretty, it draws you in. And on its face, it seems like, oh, that's not Borderlands, and it's like, ooh, but yes, it is. And that's what I would always try to do, whether it's VO, music direction, or sound design that I'm working on, is, yes, we might be absolutely ridiculous and just off the walls, not taking ourselves seriously, but also hear some moments and some really pretty things, and because that's what makes it unique.
Oh, thank you. More? Go on.
Hey, by the way, before, I know we have a little bit of time left, but I wanted us to get like a big a picture together. So when that time comes, I want to do like a selfie like this, where we can all get in there, like everybody. I don't know. Maybe what we'll do is we'll get like we'll bunch in and we'll get down there or whatever. And would y'all do that before? Okay, cool. We still have time for some questions.
This is what I need Eddings for.
Yeah. You sir had you raised your hand back there. Oh, you were just going woo. Okay, got it. All right. Any questions? Any more? Yes, young lady. Well, I mean, Maya's hot, so I think guys and gals alike crushing on Maya, right? What's not to like? Yes, sir. You, purple jacket.
I want to know, for Claptrap, how long did you actually obtain the voice for Claptrap?
How long? What?
How long did it take you to define the voice?
Not long at all. I'm a pretty animated type of human being. And I have, normally when I'm talking like business, it's just pretty dry and not a lot of inflection. But hey, and then I get really excited. I'm like, oh, yeah, like this. And so there was a reason why I think that Matt Armstrong had wanted to get me in as Claptrap, because I was already like in meetings and I cracking jokes and stuff like that, and. So I have a little bit of that personality. I'm a shy kid nerd, who grew up reading comic books and playing video games and stuff like that. It's like we are all the same, right? And I got picked up back when I was a kid. It was not cool to be a nerd at all. It was not cool to be, So I you get picked on for that kind of stuff, and always reading comics and all this kind of stuff. So we're all the same kid, right? We like the things that we like, and sometimes people dig it, and sometimes people don't. And when they don't, they don't understand it, and they don't understand what we like about our anime or our cartoons or our games or whatever it is, our books and so on. But I always felt that way. So it was really, really cool to be able to kind of do some of this stuff, because now nerd is cool, right? And that's like one of the best things ever, And so. It's neat, but man, it sure would have been a lot more comfortable for me back in school if it was a little bit more cool back then too. So
yeah, and as far as like designing the voice itself for the processing, because I did the processing chain and stuff on it, is one of the initial like what if conversations was what if it was the movie phone guy? You might have to Google that. Movie phone guy.
Hello and welcome to Movie Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, press 1. Y'all don't remember that. That's an old people thing.
And it would be the movie phone guy crossed with the cab driver from Total Recall. And that was sort of like the initial, like, what if? And then
the door opened and you got in.
Yeah. And now if you watch those things, Claptrap is not like either of those things, really. But that was just the jumping off point to kind of put some scaffolding together. And then just listening to David and working with David in the booth, that also then influenced my processing chain and say, oh, here's where David's voice really lives nicely, and here's where I can get it processed. And so, you can't just like other people like, oh, you just throw the Claptrap processing on there.
No.
I mean, you could try, but it's not going to sound right, and we'll probably get complaints.
The fact that there's enough of even with the processing, there's enough of me in there. Like when I do the voice,
because. Like that's why Jack Black doesn't. It's like there's something just missing in that, and it's not Jack Black. It's basically just understanding the direction and how those two things go hand in hand. And on the movie set, they just didn't have that insight.
So the character Claptrap, since everybody's here, I'll share this. So Claptrap is your kid brother. Is 4 years younger than you. Your mom says, yeah, you can go hang out with your friends, but you got to take your kid brother along. In this scenario, you'll slap your kid brother upside the head. You might even let one of your friends do it. But if somebody outside your group would try to attack your kid brother, you would circle the wagons. You wouldn't let anybody touch a hair on his head. You would protect.
Nobody beats my brother up.
That's right, except for me, right? Exactly. And so that's who Claptrap is. Claptrap is somebody that's endearing, you care about, you're responsible for maybe a little bit, but you're irritated that you have to take them along with you, because you want to hang out with the cool kids, and Claptrap's definitely not cool. So, but anyway, it's really funny though when I have birthday issues because my 13th birthday was forgotten, my 18th birthday was forgotten, and so when Anthony wrote that thing about the birthday, that would really hit home with me. I was like, what? Jesus, Anthony, like you know. Anyway, but yeah, there's we put ourselves into our characters. I did TK Baja too, if you know who he is. You should have seen the look on your face. Smells like off-world or whatever. That's just one of my uncles. That's what that is. But I know we have some time for a couple more questions. We have 5 minutes, and then we're going to want to do
I keep seeing this hand. We keep missing it.
All right, please.
When you're talking about Claptrap and Jack Black, I was just going to make a comment that the entire time I was voicing it, I was thinking about playing Steve in the Minecraft movie.
I haven't seen the movie myself yet, so I can't comment on that. But you had a question with the mask, yes?
I wanted to know, did you guys have a moment where you sat down to watch the movie, or did you watch it on your own time? What was that experience like?
Well, for me, I just saw it last week, but I brought my daughter to the show, and she's 9, so she hasn't played any of the games yet. And the theater was empty. It was just us. It was like a matinee on a Wednesday. So we would yell at the screen, and I'd sit there, and also I had the cool moment to be able to, hey, that guy's based on your dad, you know? And then we'd be like, you just made that shit up! That's not even real! Olivia, yell with me! Like, oh, you made that shit up! Yeah! So, like, for me, it was like, yeah, we really had fun. And it wouldn't, if there was other people, I don't know, it kind of made it special.
Right on. I haven't seen the movie yet, and
oh, but the studio, they did a whole. There's a theater right down the street from Gearbox HQ there in Frisco. So they would take everyone to this theater, so the whole studio saw it together. Chun-Li.
So I was thinking about the soundtracks. Borderlands is a very distinctive set of soundtracks chosen for the trailers. That like the heavy, the elephant, they have like a funk rock thing. Was that intentional? And I noticed that Borderlands they changed to Magnero's Doomsday was the trailer.
so I want to answer this because I got one of my jobs that the best part of my job was I got to choose some of the music that went to the game. So I got to go and interface with and pick the heavy. Actually got to introduce the heavy to DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
And they love me for that. So whenever the heavy's in town or whenever, I just say, hey, it's the guy that introduced you to DJ Jazzy Jeff. They're like, come backstage, And so I love those guys. They're fantastic. I met Grizz. I was trying to get his stuff in our game, and one of his songs did make it into Borderlands 3, I believe. And we became friends, and like his brother's like my weed dealer in Detroit, Grizz's brother Court. Yeah, so just being able to Borderlands definitely made Cage the Elephant. I think they certainly are appreciative of the attention they got there. There was that DJ Champion, that Oh Lord, that the first game, whatever. That's a French Canadian DJ that had like 5 guitarists that he would bring in and out. He's like point them to try or whatever. He would mix that on the fly. It was just so amazing. And I saw them in Vegas, and I wanted them. And then I saw them at South by Southwest, and they were surprised. They're like, nobody ever saw us in Vegas because it was this little Ubisoft party that was being thrown. And so it was really fun. And that's one of the best parts about is choosing the music and finding what's right, And it was one of my favorite parts of the job, quite frankly. So yeah. Did that answer your question at all? Yeah. Okay, right on. Love the Heavy, by the way. They are great musicians, fantastic. And those, if you don't know, you should check out their stuff. Incredible, as well as Grizz, as well as some other folks. But you have another question, sir?
Yes.
By the way, you have been a wonderful source, a plethora, if you will, of questions. Thank you.
Okay, this question involves Mr. Tor. Okay, what is your favorite Mr. Tor line?
Oh my God.
Is it Mr. Tor? Is that Chris Ray?
Yeah.
I only know the one.
Oh God, he's got it like his introduction. Some of his introduction lines in the DLC that he appears for the first time, I couldn't quote them, but I had very distinct memories of playing it multiple times while fixing shit and just being like, "This is amazing." He's
a Texas guy too. I mean, actually, most of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's from Texas.
Yeah, a lot of our just especially in the earlier games, so much of our talent actually came from Funimation, and I would always be like, source Funimation first.
My favorite Mr. Tor line is careful, you're dead to me.
That's awesome. Perfect. Everybody give it. That's great. Because we got to. I'm sorry, we got to end this thing. We're out of time.
Thank you for watching Anime Diet. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe button for more tasty treats.